Good afternoon.
Hello there. We can hear you. Thank you.
This is the clerk with a courtesy announcement that the meeting is now live on the internet.
Hello, Melissa.
Hello.
We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, so I've updated Zoom. And it's still like giving me a static image. Peggy, can you hear me?
Hey, Robert. Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Okay, good.
It might be a connection issue if you've done all the updates.
Yeah, I just did a big update, and I'm in the office, so I'm on the county's wireless network. So I don't know what the deal is, but I guess.
At the very least, we can hear you clearly. So
Yep.
you might just want to let them know you're having connection issues, but audio is working great.
Yep. Okay, that's what I'll do. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon, Christopher.
Good afternoon. Can you hear and see me okay?
We sure can.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Commissioner Spreen, how are you?
Doing very well, thank you.
Loud and clear, thank you. Catherine, hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. And Sarah, hi there.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, Consuelo.
Hi, Jill. Can you hear me? I'm having some sound issues.
We can actually hear you very clearly. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Hello, Joe.
Hello.
Loud and clear. Thank you. Aaron, Natalie, and Sylvia, hello.
Hello. Thank you
Hello.
for the check.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalie. We can hear you. And Chairperson Wasserman.
Good afternoon, just in the nick of time.
Good afternoon.
We have our consultant Jeff Bradley here too. It looks like he came on.
Hi, Jeff, welcome.
You're on mute, Jeff, but you might want to test your mic.
Hi, thank you, Supervisor Wasserman.
You betcha.
And good
All right,
afternoon,
and
Vice Chairperson Simidian.
Hello, this is Supervisor Smidian staff. He will be with us in just a moment. Apologies.
All righty.
Thank you. Hello, Jacqueline.
Hi.
We
Hi.
can see you and hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. Sometimes my screen, you
Oh,
see it
You are
does-
upside down right now.
I know, it does a very strange thing,
You'll need to either turn yourself.
There.
There you go.
right? Okay. Thank you.
Well, I haven't had a sip of water all day. Is Supervisor Simidian here yet?
I will wait for him, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jill. I'm just gonna get a bottle of water. Okay, how are we looking?
No word quite yet. Checking for Supervisor Simidian.
Here.
Oh, looks like we are ready, sir. Your
Wonderful.
clerk today will be Peggy.
Thank you, Jill, for your help. Hello, Peggy. Please take a roll call.
Recording in progress. Good afternoon, Vice Chairperson Simidian
Here.
and Chairperson Wasserman.
Here as well. Thank you very much, Peggy. We'll now turn to public comment. And I don't see any. Do you, Peggy?
I see no raised hands.
All right. We'll now move on to approval of the consent calendar. Item number 3, Supervisor Simidian, items 10 through 13, 11 through 13 are already listed. Do you have any ones you wish to add or remove?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with your consent, I would like to move the consent calendar items 11 through 13, but also adding items 4, which is Charleston, 525 Charleston, item 5, which is the Park Partner Program, and item 8, which is the roads and airports item, to consent as well, if that works for you, sir.
I consent to your consent.
Thank you. Then that is my motion.
Thank you. I second your motion and just messed up my screen. And Peggy, I'm looking, and again, see no speakers. Do you concur?
I concur.
With concurrence on the consent and no public comment to consider, we're going to move to a vote, please, by Peggy.
Vice Chairperson Simidian
Aye.
and Chairperson Wasserman.
Aye as well. That was tough to do with the C's. All right, we now move on to number 6. And I'm going to mute my background in just a minute. Receive a report from the Department of Planning and Development, which will be their fearless leader, Jacqueline Onciano, and Deputy County Executive Sylvia Gallegos.
Mr. Chairman, before we hear from staff, I am prepared to move receipt of the report. I would have asked for this item to be on consent as well, because I had the opportunity to discuss these issues in depth with staff earlier today. So I feel current and fully informed, but I did not want to push it to consent if there were folks from the university or the community out there who were in attendance and wanted to speak on the item. So I will defer to you, but I am offering up a motion to receive the report at the appropriate time. Thank you. I have no comments or questions today.
Thank you. We have no one to speak. I have no comments or questions either. And we're allowed to receive a report without a motion, so we'll consider the report received.
Apologies to the chairperson. We do have one raised hand.
I have it now as well. Thank you. Please bring them in, Peggy.
2 minutes.
Yes.
Our first speaker is Aaron Effner. I am unmuting you. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking.
Hi, thank you so much. Sorry to reopen the item. I just wanted to make a very brief statement. This is Erin Effner from Stanford's Land Use and Environmental Planning Department. And I just wanted to briefly mention that we've very much appreciated the meetings over the past several months that we've had with staff. We will continue to request copies of the studies and the reports that will ultimately inform the community plan policies. To date, we have not had the opportunity to review these, so we're continuing to request to have that opportunity in the future. I wanted to also mention that we've had some informative initial discussions on housing related policies. Very much like to continue these discussions, and we continue to ask to have a seat at the table as the staff continues on policy formulation. We really strongly believe that the best public policy will be achieved through collaboration between Stanford and staff, and especially as it sort of continues to be fleshed out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erin.
And that concludes our speakers.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Submitti, any other comments, or we'll consider this received?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to staff for the report.
Thank you. We'll now move on to item number 7, receive report from the Department of Plan and Development, which is Jacqueline again, regarding Lehigh Permanente 2021 Financial Assurance Cost Estimate Review Status. Sylvia, please kick us off.
I think you meant Ms. Donchano.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes, Jacqueline.
Okay, thank you. Jacqueline Untitled, Director of Planning and Development.
Thank you, Sylvia.
You have the report. The report speaks to the consultant that we are securing for the third-party review of the FACE. If there are any questions, both I and Senior Planner Rob Salisbury are available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate that. Peggy, I see one speaker.
Yes, we have one speaker, Rhoda Fry.
Yes, 2 minutes, please.
Rhoda, I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking.
Hi, this is Rhoda Fry. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And
Excuse me, Rhoda, for interrupting you. Peggy, please stop the clock. Supervisor Submitti, did you want to speak before the public speaker or after?
After, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Please continue.
I want to thank the county for making this worthy investment. Certainly, if we don't have enough FACE and if Lehigh happens to walk away, then any additional remediation costs will fall upon us, the county taxpayers. I did submit a written comment. I hope that you read it. One of the other things that occurred to me was that since the reclamation plan was written in 2012, there have been a lot of goings on at the quarry. And I do allude to some of them in my statement, but I hope that the consultant can really take a good look at those and do a deep dive, because the scope of the work that needs to be done has definitely changed since it was first anticipated in 2012. The other issues are related to the Jaeger Yard landslide, which is a threat to homes and structures downstream. It is a known health and safety hazard. Lehigh their intention is to not do reclamation in that area, and I think they should. So I hope that's also included in the scope of work. The other scope of work issue that's kind of somewhat changed is that now the water boards have determined that the West Material Storage Area, just a 200-acre area of mining waste, is tainted. And so all of that material would need to be tested before putting it back into the quarry. So there needs to be figuring out how much the testing is going to cost prior to putting it in. I'm also concerned about a deficit of material on site to fill the quarry. And now we've got this rock plant going on, which is, according to the BACMed, is a cancer risk. So I'd like y'all to look into that. And please read my written submittal as well. Thank you so much.
That concludes our speakers.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Peggy. Supervisor Submitti, comments?
Yes, thanks. I've got some comments and questions both. So let me just ask Ms. Anshano or her team after I first say thank you. This this staff report is responsive to my request that we do an even deeper dive this year on financial assurances. As the member of the public referenced, Mr. Chair, we really do have an obligation to make sure that whatever assurances are provided, they are adequate to the task. Otherwise, the county and the public get left holding the bag, so to speak.
Yep.
And or the work simply doesn't get done, which would be a very bad outcome as well. I do want to ask a couple of questions. First of which is, what exactly is covered by the assurance, the financial assurance cost estimate? And I'm asking in the sense that I'm trying to determine, does it cover only those items described in the rec plan, the reclamation plan, other items as well? Do we have to be concerned about detailing what's covered? I'm just trying to make sure I understand what is or isn't covered. Obviously, what isn't covered, it would be a matter of concern, and I'll give some examples in a minute.
Thank you. Ms. Anciano?
Yes, if I may, Chair. Rob Salisbury, if you are on, would you please respond?
Yeah, thank
you're
you.
on.
Thank you, Director Anciano. I'd be happy to. And I do apologize. My my video camera on my laptop here in the office is not working. It is on. I'm not sure why the screen is black, so my apologies there. So the financial assurance cost estimate is intended to provide the funds needed to fully reclaim the quarry, and that is, to be specific, the area within the reclamation plan boundary as specified by the current approved reclamation plan to the standard that is included within the same reclamation plan. So that would be establishing finished slopes and revegetating, removal of all quarry equipment, those types of tasks in general. It does not and cannot cover any area or any work outside of the reclamation plan boundary. So using Lehigh as a specific example, it will not cover the cement plant or the old aluminum plant, those other areas, because those are outside of the reclamation plan boundary.
If we could get further clarity on that geographic limitation or exclusion when the report comes back to us the next time, I think it would be helpful to know in relatively simple, straightforward acreage terms, the totality of the project is this number of acres, and the totality of the rec plan is presumably some subset of that. Am I getting that right, Mr. Salisbury?
That is correct. Yes, and we can certainly, I have several graphics that I can provide to you next time, and some hard numbers.
Yeah, I think from my standpoint, what I'm looking at is, is 40% of what I think of as the Lehigh property uncovered, or is it 4%? Big difference, right? So I just made those numbers up on the spur of the moment. I don't want anybody to think those are real numbers, but I'm just trying to get a sense for how many acres are out there and how many of them are covered by this exercise and how many are not, because that's going to take me to the next question, which is, what happens to the acreage that's not covered, and how does that get returned to some acceptable state, and at what cost, borne by whom? So I guess I was really asking a bigger question than I let on at first, because the first question, which is, how much is uncovered, really leads to these other questions. Understandable?
Yes, it is, Vice Chairperson.
Thank you. And then the other question is, I'm assuming then that if it's about the geography, that certain issues that I might describe as, historical or legacy issues, I guess, would also be covered, but I want to verify that. So Mr. Salisbury, do I remember correctly that at some point, I'm pretty sure I was told that there was a munitions manufacturing operation up at the site decades ago. Am I remembering that right?
I believe that is correct. That predates my time at the county, but I've heard the same thing, yes.
So do we know if the rec plan covers that area? Because that's not a small legacy issue, potentially.
To my understanding, that is outside of the reclamation plan boundary. Lehigh is essentially divided up into the quarry, sort of on the west side. Then they have their cement plant, they have an old aluminum plant, and some other industrial areas and structures kind of on the eastern side of their property. And so the rec plan boundary does not include the concentration of industrial buildings on the east side, because those were not strictly quarrying related.
But if I may, through the chair, when we return, we would take a closer look at the face, the language in the face, the reclamation plan, and present that information to Hewlett with certainty based on our review. Pardon me, Vice Chair Simitian.
No, thank you. That's exactly what I was hoping for. I appreciate the offer. And Mr. Chairman, I do think that's sort of something we're going to want to look at because, as I say, if there are some other large issues or potentially large issues that are outside the scope of the financial assurance cost estimate, forgive me, I always struggle with that acronym, the financial assurance cost estimate, I do think we're going to want to know what are they and how do they get addressed. And so if we could ask for that information to come back. I guess, let me ask this, Ms. Anshano, to you or your staff's knowledge, is this the first time we've used an outside consultant with expertise in the field to help us take a sharp pencil to these estimates?
I believe it is. Rob Salisbury, do you have knowledge that we have secured a third party to review the face before this present time?
We have from time to time engaged consultants to look at specific elements of specific financial assurance cost estimates. But to my knowledge, it's the first time we've hired somebody to sort of just conduct a complete review of a financial assurance cost estimate.
Thank you.
And just, I know this has been a work in progress. Has the contract been signed or are we close but not quite there yet?
We are very close but not quite there. I know procurement staff and our department have been working very hard to get everything lined up. It's the first time this particular consultant has provided services to the county, so there's quite a bit of procedural steps that need to occur. But my understanding is we're very, very close to getting that final approval and being able to get the contract executed.
Yeah, I thank you. That's helpful. Let me ask the team from planning, including but not limited to Mr. Salisbury, if you look at packet page 18, 19, and subsequent pages, these are 7A, financial assurance cost estimate for Permanente Quarry. I notice there's a version number at the top. It says version : 8.31, excuse me, 8-31-18, which I'm reading perhaps correctly, perhaps not. This is a State of California Department of Conservation form as meaning August 31st of 18. Is that the date for the form or the date that this information was prepared? I'm trying to get a handle on whether the information is current and up to date, and whether it's just a form that is 3 years old now.
I believe that is the date for the form. I can verify that for you here in just a second.
Sure.
Yeah, that is the date of the form.
Thank you. That being said, however, am I correct in reading the form to indicate that the assurance cost estimate this year is identical to the insurance cost estimate last year?
You're on I'm looking at the page you're on.
Page 8, packet page 18, item 7A. It's the first page of the financial assurance cost estimate. And I'm looking, it says most recent approved financial assurance cost estimate was from August 26th of 2020. And it says that it was $62,458,227, which I believe is the same number we got this year. Yes or no? Did I read that wrong?
I'm sorry, I'm looking for that packet page. I'm not.
It's a little different. Our numbering is a little different than what he's looking at, Rob.
Okay.
So
let me start it this way, Mr. Salisbury. If you look at the second page of the staff memo, at the top of the staff memo, it says, due to the large amount of the reclamation of Lehigh Permanente quarry is estimated to cost $62,458,227. And that says the department has retained a consultant. So that's the amount that I'm gathering is the estimate that we've received from Lehigh. And then, go ahead.
So the 62 million is the approved estimate from last year. The estimate that Lehigh provided for the face for this year is 64 million, and I'm pulling up the exact number now.
And can you tell me where we find that $64 million number, forgive me, among these many pages?
Let me see if I can find that for you. I'm
sure
looking through the packet here.
I've got a $63 million number on what is my packet page 35 under item number 11, supervision, profit and overhead contingencies mobilization. And then it says total estimated cost of reclamation, 63 million.
Supervisor, can we agree both numbers are between 62 and 63 million?
I
go
can,
ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble finding the exact section of the report. I can tell you exactly what the numbers are. The approved face and the bond that we currently hold from Lehigh is $62,458,227. That's the most recent approved face. And then the financial estimate that Lehigh submitted that is currently under review, they're estimating is going to cost $63,011,825.
Okay, and so I guess I am just struck by the fact that, and just a second, let me do a little quick math here if I can.
553.
It's a pretty modest increase given the rate of construction inflation that we've been observing over the last year. And, you know, I understand it's not a construction project in the conventional sense of the term or the colloquial sense of the term, but, you know, it's a pretty small increase given the inflation we've seen over the last year in construction. So I just would ask that as your consultant takes a look at this, he speaks specifically to that issue if he could, please.
We will certainly do that, yes.
Okay.
And just for clarification through the chair, that number that Rob just gave you is in the attachment. It actually shows up under the State of California Department of Conservation. It's the total estimated cost of reclamation right before attachment 1, $63,011,825.
Yeah, and my point is really just that You know, we're talking about $500,000 worth of inflation on a $62 million number from last year. That'd be pretty good if that's what it was, but that's what's making me anxious. So I'll just let it go at that and ask the consultants if they can weigh in on that. Those are my questions and requests for today, Supervisor. I think that covers it.
Thank you. If I may summarize, there was a request for the map showing all of the area that's included and not included in the mitigation. And I concur with you. It's about a 0.7% increase in the construction costs. And that one of those numbers is off, that's for sure. So thank you for those two items. Rob, is that clear to you for the next meeting?
Yes, it is clear. I don't know that our consultants will have completed their report by the next time this committee meets. So is your preference to get an interim report next month, or should we come back when we have a completed work product from our consultant and a completed?
Personally, I'm very interested in seeing the map that Supervisor Simidian brought up, showing what is covered by the $63 million reclamation in the area, and he named a few areas outside that are not covered. And I am interested in our starting to think about exactly what he brought up, and that is, should we end up with the property and they walk away and we got the $62 million for the one area, what options, grants, alternatives do we have for restoring the remaining area to its original design? Is that summarized? Am I misstating anything, Supervisor Simidian?
No, you've got it, Mr. Chair. The only other thing I would add is I think some of this information is relevant, not just as to the particular quarry we're talking about, but it has implications for whether or not there might be value in a review of the financial assurance cost estimates on other quarries in the county, and whether or not using consulting expertise might help us feel even more confident that we've got accurate numbers and assurances on the books.
Thank you. So Peggy, that was the motion by Supervisor Simidian that I reiterated as well. I'll second it. Will you please take a roll call vote?
Vice Chairperson Simidian.
Aye.
And Chairperson Wasserman.
Aye. Thank you very much. 8 was handled on consent. Supervisor, we move to item number 9. Receiving report from Jacqueline's department again. No, I'm sorry. Yes, it is still. Office of Sustainability relating to an ordinance to amend the county green building standard codes and establish a county energy code.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, President Wasserman. Jacqueline Anshano, Director of Planning and Development. Pursuant to the request we received in October for clarifying information, we have included that clarifying information in the staff report, but I would like to point out one item. The ordinance that is attached to the agenda today does not have an exception, a multifamily exception included in that ordinance. However, we do have language in the actual staff report if the committee would so desire to move that language forward into the ordinance. And with me today to speak is Jasneet Sharma with, she's the Director of the Office of Sustainability, and also Michael Alvarez, our Building Services Manager and our Development Services Manager and Building Official. We are available if you have any questions. We don't have a formal presentation today because we included the information in the staff report, but we are available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Thank you, Michael and Jasneet, for being here. Oops, I'm sorry, Supervisor Simidian.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking over you. I apologize. I'm ready to offer a motion, though, if it would help us move forward, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you. And Peggy, do you confirm we have no, oh, we have one member of the public. Will you please allow that person in before Supervisor Simidian's motion?
Our next speaker is, we have 2 speakers. Our next speaker is Susan B. I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking.
Good afternoon, supervisors and staff. Thank you for bringing this up again. I'm Susan Butler Graham. I'm a mother and grandmother and volunteer leader of Mothers Out Front Silicon Valley. We support the recommendation to establish a county energy code to promote building electrification and electric vehicle infrastructure for new construction. It's really important that the county do this. All the cities in the area, other counties have done this. It is critical that we have all electric buildings to protect us from the worst impacts of the climate crisis. They're safer, they're less expensive to build and operate. We don't have to shut down the outdated gas pipelines when they're soon not needed anymore, not wanting to use the gas anymore, and better for public health. For those who need backup in case of a power shortage, solar panels with battery backup provide electricity 24/7. So there's no need to build with gas anymore. Gas appliances do not support grid resilience because a lot of times in an emergency, the gas is also shut off and it takes longer to put the gas back on than it takes to turn on the electricity. This would save the county and residents money and avoided costs. We know installing EV infrastructure at the time of new construction is far cheaper than retrofitting later. So we need to do the EV infrastructure for everyone. Please vote yes on the strongest possible energy code. We've been waiting for this for years from this county. Our kids and grandkids are counting on you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dashiell Leeds. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking.
Hello, my name is Dashiell Leeds. I'm the conservation assistant for the Sierra Club Loma Prieta chapter. We're in strong support of the draft all-electric reach codes as presented in the Hewlett staff memo. I think this is a really sort of low-hanging fruit policy. So many other jurisdictions within the county territory have adopted this already. It really has become the norm for new construction. And we're actually coming right off the tail of the city of San Jose. Yesterday, they passed a resolution declaring carbon neutrality by 2030. And they're going to be, they already have their natural gas prohibition for new buildings. And now they're looking at how can they decarbonize their existing infrastructure and really significantly reduce emissions. So I think the writing is on the wall here. The natural gas pipeline system really does not have any future in our society. And I think it's really incumbent on us to no longer build new gas pipelines when we can avoid it, as doing so would be a real climate cost and health liability to county residents. So really hope that the committee today moves forward with the REACH codes and recommends them to the full board for adoption. Thanks so much.
Our next speaker is Wyan Chong. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Great. I am Wyan Trung with Mothers Out Front, Silicon Valley. I urge you to vote yes on the strongest possible all-electric energy code with zero exemptions for multifamily buildings, with EV infrastructure for all, including multifamily buildings. I am deeply disturbed that a lot of our existing natural gas infrastructure is aging and leaking methane into the atmosphere, which is a greenhouse gas far more destructive than CO2. A lot of the existing natural gas infrastructure, starting from the point of extraction all the way up to customer location, will need to be repaired or replaced to stop the leaks. This is a costly process. We simply can't afford to add new gas infrastructure and replace aging gas infrastructure. Both will lock us into the continued use of fracked gas. CNN reports the cost of natural gas is up 180%. While this surge is expected to be temporary, the cost of fracked gas will continue to trend upwards, increasing hardship for low-income families. Clean energy costs will continue to trend down. We need to firmly commit to a clean energy future with clean energy infrastructure. The climate leadership we need will probably not come out of COP26. It is local efforts, cities and counties across the country that are leading with the climate solutions and transformations we need. The little city of Ithaca, New York, just voted unanimously to decarbonize every single building, including existing buildings, not just new construction. Please make the strongest possible commitment today for the future of our young people and low-income families. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Suzanne Emerson. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking.
Thank you. My name is Suzanne Emerson. I'm a green building special inspector. I work with architects and builders on implementing the green building program for new construction, residential construction in unincorporated areas of Santa Clara County. I'm here today to express my concern about the health and safety effects of burning gas indoors. One of the things I do as part of some of the programs is to test the amount of carbon monoxide and other pollutants that are coming off of gas burning equipment installed in residential projects. The burning of gas in household appliances, especially gas stoves, produces harmful indoor air pollution, including carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, formaldehyde, and ultrafine particles. Using a gas stove to cook a large meal in a small home can easily cause indoor air pollution levels that would be illegal if those were outdoors. Young children, especially those with asthma and people with heart or lung disease, are especially vulnerable to the toxic effects of combustion pollutants. So, for example, pollution from a gas stove doubles the odds of a woman experiencing symptoms of lung disease and nearly triples the odds she will need to take asthma medication. Safety is also an issue, especially in earthquake-prone California. Natural gas use in homes is responsible for almost half of all residential house fires, and gas line ruptures caused half of the fires after the 1994 Northridge earthquake. I encourage you to proceed with supporting REACH codes that require new construction be all electric. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rhoda Fry. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking. Rhoda, your mic is open.
Thank you very much for considering the REACH codes. And in particular, I'm hoping that these will also apply to everybody in the county, and that'll take the load off the cities to have to implement their own REACH codes. Certainly if they can do better, that's great, but would be wonderful to have a one-stop shop for protecting Mother Earth. And I agree with the previous speakers. That's my comment. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bruce Nagel. I'm unmuting you. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think this is a key issue. This is something that Santa Clara County has been looking at for a while, and it's good that they're moving forward, especially in light of what's gone on in San Jose. We see that the competition between cities continues to upgrade what happens in each city. I saw this as an example when we were starting to release REACH codes. When we started doing that, there were very few of them, and now there are over 50 cities to doing it. So every city is key to making this work. The other thing I'll mention, which is clear, is the fact that this affects us now today with some of the challenges we're facing, asthma inside of our homes, but also this is something that's going to be an existential threat to our follow-on generations. In fact, I was told that today on NPR that the water will rise at least a meter over the next 15 years in San Francisco. Climate change is upon us. It's bad now. It'll get worse unless we start to work on it. And we need everybody to do that. And I appreciate the efforts of presenting this, and that we may move forward with a strict code so that we have a place that we can give the new ones to be with this country and Earth. Thank you.
And that concludes our speakers.
Thank you very much, Peggy. Supervisor Simitian.
Move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. I will second that, which is moving things forward to the board. I will say I've got mixed feelings on this. I like the mostly electric combination where it says on page 3 of 7, allows mixed fuel buildings, electric plus natural gas, with high energy performance requiring additional energy efficiency measures, battery storage, and or pre-wiring for buildings to be electric ready. I totally agree with the global warming concern. I know this applies effectively to new construction only and to the unincorporated areas of Santa Clara County only. But I have seconded the motion. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Chairperson Simitian.
Aye.
Chairperson Wasserman.
Aye. Thank you. And I also want to take a moment to thank staff for all the work they've done on this item, the research, the additional outreach they conducted, the responses to all of Supervisor Simitian's questions at the prior meeting. I think the report was very complete. With that, we move on to item number 10, receive a report from the Office of Supportive Housing and Department of Planning and Development relating to financing the development of affordable housing for ag workers. Jacqueline, oh no, Consuelo, hi.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Wasserman and Supervisor Simitian. Apologies for the lateness of the report. We had a bit of delays on our end at the Office of Supportive Housing and some of the lessons learned discussion that we've had with our colleagues in San Mateo County. So I will provide you with an oral summary of the legislative file. So there's two notable report outs for you. One is there is a state funding opportunity through the Joe Cerna Farm Worker Housing Grant Program. HCD is proposing to mirror to some extent what we have done here in the county to have one central location where proposals come. And HCD is referring to this as their Super NOFA, which they intend to publish sometime in early 2022. And what we've done is identified the 4 eligible project types or activities that can be funded, and we will be looking out for that NOFA to determine if we can apply for this funding, which would require us to go back to the full board to adopt a resolution, put together an application, and based on that, our recommendation would be that we return to Hewlett sometime in early 2022 to a report out of that funding. The other piece of information to report out is Jacqueline and I have met with our teams to try to understand what the demand for a loan program might look like. So one note to share with you is the majority of the requests that come in through the planning department are for smaller scale projects. Either a farmer or grower wants to provide housing for their immediate family or their workers in the range of 1 to 4 units, which makes sense in the unincorporated areas. And we had a discussion with our San Mateo County colleagues, and they have some similar challenges with their program in that in our county, a big challenge is water. And in San Mateo County, coastal concerns are their issues. And really trying to focus on the barriers associated with building smaller scale ag worker housing in the unincorporated areas. So I think Jacqueline and I have a bit of work to do to really understand how to streamline those proposals that might come in through the planning department, where OSH can offer their development experience and Jacqueline through her team can offer their expertise in approving planning, the relationships they have with existing growers, and then separately working with the cities of Gilroy and Morgan Hill on funding larger sized developments within their incorporated areas of the city, similar to what we're seeing at Royal Oaks in the city of Morgan Hill.
Nice. Thank
That's
you.
my quick summary. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. We have no speakers. Supervisor Simitian, this is a received report. Do you have any comments or questions?
Well, let me just ask Ms. Hernandez, to perhaps clarify a little bit more, at least for me. So the loan program is key because financing is key to all of this. But what was your thinking about us directly engaging in an effort to actually find a developer to build the project as opposed to simply facilitating loans?
Thank you, Supervisor Simitian, for the question. In terms of multifamily development, we think that we can accomplish that through our existing NOFA, either through the combination of Measure A, our home funds, CDBG funds, and other one-time funding that we have for the production of higher density housing. And really our loan product that would be new is for growers. That would be smaller scale in the unincorporated areas. We think that's where the gap is.
Yes, but the existing programs we've got, have they actually delivered any farm worker housing? I know that theoretically they could, but I just, part of the reason for my referral in June was I didn't see the creation of that kind of housing happening in any significant numbers.
Thank you, Supervisor Smidian, for that. You are right. We, after 5 years of working on it, have finally found a developer that is willing to have a set aside for ag worker housing in the Royal Oaks project. So there's different strategies that we can deploy to incentivize developers, specifically around multifamily housing, that we can add to either our Measure A guidelines moving forward. And if that's an interest, perhaps when we come back to you in early 2022, we can articulate those strategies.
I would ask, I'll move the recommended action, which is to receive the report, but with that additional direction, Mr. Chair, I think unfortunately farm worker housing is an afterthought if it even rises to that level in many of the affordable housing conversations that take place in a urban county like ours. And I think, to Ms. Hernandez's very well made point, we've got some tools that might be usable for farm worker housing, but not if we don't lean in and say, hey, could we use these tools for farm worker housing? So let's lean in on that and ask ourselves not just what new tools might be available, but what we can do to take existing tools and make them actually deliver on their potential for farm labor housing, which potential has yet to be realized in my observation.
Interesting. Okay. I'm with you on that. I second that. Thank you. Any comments back from Suela or Jacqueline?
Thank you. At this time, thank you.
All right, Peggy, we have that as a motion and I concur. That's my second. Would you please take a roll call vote?
Vice Chairperson Smidian. And Chairperson Wasserman.
Yes. Thank you very much, Peggy. Supervisor Smidian, unless you have anything else, we're going to adjourn to December 9th, a little after Pearl Harbor Day and a couple of weeks after Thanksgiving. Anything else you have to add?
Nothing else. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
All right, and thank you all to staff for such complete reports, some sooner than later, and we appreciate your help. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
Recording stopped.